Right, very good evening to you, our viewers, witnesses. Join us live right now on ZimI. If you can hear the sound of my voice, do let me know where you're logging in from there. Just type it in the comment box right there. And just let us know where you're logging in from, our viewers, witnesses. I'm going to be beaming to you live right now, and I'll be responding to questions and answers over a few things that are happening in our country regarding governance and politics. And these are things that Zimbabweans have been asking us, and a lot of people are quiet because they feel overwhelmed. Are you one of those people who are overwhelmed? I've got an audio message from a lady asking me, Simba, we don't understand what is happening. We don't understand the problem and the reason why Tendai Biti seems to be on the other side. And he strongly seems so. But at the same time, we're now confused. And this lady says to me that I used to contribute donations, I used to buy pens for elections, I used to do a lot of things. And while I was doing those things, my intention was going back to Zimbabwe. Intention yanga ngari yekuti ndikwanise kudzokera to Zimbabwe. But right now, a year later, what's going on? The politics seems stagnant, and then we're seeing messages from one angle, we're seeing messages from the other. And so she even said to me that she is tempted to believe that Nelson Chamisa has betrayed the people. She's tempted to believe that people like Tendai Biti are right. And then she asked me at the end of the audio, who should we trust then, Simba? To trust Ani. To trust Ani. Okay. So quickly, are you one of those people who are confused? Press the share button. Let someone know that I'm going to be talking about this quickly. Myself right now, from what I know, Kodez Wangwinin, I'm going to be naming people one by one, specific people. But I will start on this man called Tendai Biti. Can he be trusted? If you are a journalist and you are writing that Tendai Biti is a duly befitting winner of a rule of law award by the Law Society that he was given recently, then you are an ignorant journalist. You're not a researching journalist because you are failing to obtain what the people need to know. People need to know who are the individuals who are running their politics, who are speaking in the corridors of power. Because right now, this whole country, Zimbabwe, the problem it is in right now is that of individuals who have not been vetted, individuals who people were forced to accept as leaders. And so their whole lives, their destinies are sold over to people that are imposed on them. People like Emerson Mnangagwa. But quickly, who is Tendai Biti? I will speak authoritatively. I've had some people asking me over this and saying, Simba, how can you write such statements about Tendai Biti and be confident that he does not deserve the rule of law award? How can you say Tendai Biti is a violator of the rule of law? I am an authority on it. I saw it with my own eyes. Have physically experienced Tendai Biti. I've met him. I've helped him. I helped to save his life. I've got this in document form. I've got this in video form. Not for 1 minute, not for 1 hour, not for 1 day, but for several years. And I saw Tendai Biti degenerate into an agent of dictatorship and an agent of lawlessness in Zimbabwe and internationally. So I'm going to be dropping a few things that people should, if someone can take down notes, do so. Because I'm not giving you opinion, I'm giving you facts. And if you're a journalist out there and you've been made to write these statements by the Law Society of Zimbabwe, which I shall demonstrate, should really, by virtue of what has happened, by virtue of that dodgy award, should really be called the Lawlessness Society of Zimbabwe. So quickly, Tendai Biti, I'm going to be showing a video just now so people can understand. I know people are upset with what's happening, and especially those who are of the older age. I'm in the under 50 group. I know others are in the over 50 group. And I hail and salute all of you who are in the over 50 group. You're the ones who inspire us. You're the ones who've been donating my £5. You've been donating your prayers, your ideas, your support, your moral support for our journalism, but also even for the activism on the ground. But you should also know, while you're doing this, who are the people who have let you down, so that you know those who you must work with in the future, who you must support. And I will tell you those people from my desk. My field for over 20 years is investigative. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I'll quickly tell you, Tendai Biti had the biggest opportunity that any human being in any country has ever had to trigger a Mozambique breakthrough, a Zambia breakthrough, a Botswana breakthrough for the people of his country, Zimbabwe. But he sold it to Emerson Mnangagwa. He sold it somewhere between August 2021 and this year and this month. I have the documents, I have the videos, but I'll quickly tell you what that was. Tendai Biti had with him power in the form of a litigation, a court case that was not just about him, but it was about millions of people whose lives, whose souls were on his shoulders, right? If you have seen my work, if you've seen my kind of journalism, which is weird, you can give witness that many times I operate on the ground with a confidence that shows you that I'm carrying millions of people on my shoulders. And I treat my work with that level of respect for what I need to execute for the people. And that is how I started the Gold Mafia investigation. Alone. Dirindega in 2015. And I carried it across the years until Al Jazeera signed me. 4 years later. 3-4 years later. That's how I've done so many other investigations. It's because of the understanding of the millions of people who are upon my shoulders that I refuse to take money. I refuse to take threats. I refuse to take distractions. And I just continue right up until breakthrough. So Tendai Biti had this litigation case on his shoulders. On the 8th of August, it was around the 7th and 8th of August. I was woken up early in the morning. And on that morning, I was alerted that Tendai Biti has been caught at Chirundu and he could be deported back into Zimbabwe. The things that I did there, Zimbabweans, you need to know, I've not done them for anyone. That morning, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I did some things that I can't even say on this stream. But you will hear them from Tendai Biti's own mouth. And I'm going to play that video shortly. Mwanzwa nemuromo wake Tendai Biti achitaura how I saved his life. Because I knew that this is a man who is in trouble. But more so, the significance of his case to, excuse me, not the significance, but the connection of his case to that of millions of Zimbabweans and Zambians as well, made me to continue to help him, to cover that story more than any journalist, publisher, pen writer, media house has ever done. Right until September 2022, when I flew to Zambia and I was going to meet Tendai so that we finalize on this story while he's completing this litigation. This litigation was going to stop Mnangagwa from contesting in the 2023 elections. This litigation was going to give Abantu ezve Zimbabwe power to stop Mnangagwa from contesting in the 2023 elections. It was going to give Abantu Zimbabwe power to even airlift a Mnangagwa from State House and go and drop him in Zishavani. Nicely, legally, without firing a bullet. That is the type of litigation that we're talking about. How many remember those days? I used to call this state power now, and I used to call this my sports ekugadziranyika. I was doing this at the same time while working on the Gold Mafia project. So this wasn't a small project. It was on one side dealing with Mnangagwa, on the other end, it was also dealing with Edgar Lungu. In the next few days, folks, I'm going to take time. I'm going to schedule a time. You need to know about this. This is your country. You need to know how Tendai Biti sold the people of Zimbabwe. Years before he could even accuse Nelson Chamisa of stopping his MPship. At that time, you were still an MP. You were still fully an MP. Everything was okay. In 2021, at the inauguration of Hakainde Hichilema, I called Tendai Biti. He never picked up. I called Gifto Stalo Siziba. I sent audios. I tried to advise these people. I said, look, stop celebrating the inauguration of Hichilema. Don't waste time basking in someone else's sunshine. Create your own sunshine. Create your own fire. And you know, when I said that, I made it clear to Gift Siziba and also to Tenda and to all of them. I was like, look, don't stop celebrating Hichilema's inauguration. Fix your own inauguration. Use this opportunity to fix your own inauguration. And I advised Tendai Biti, go to Edgar Lungu right now, wherever he is, and go on video. Start your own case today. Or continue your case, the case that you started in 2018. Ensure that you complete that litigation. Don't let the people of Zimbabwe down. Because as you do this, you make my story that I sacrificed, that you made me wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning when you were about to be killed. You will sabotage my story. This wasn't a story about me. It wasn't a story about any benefit of me. I was getting any money. But it is the human interest, it is the human achievement, it is the human rights achievement that feeds back into my work and makes me understand that after all these years, that I've been waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and in this case, I woke up at 4 a.m. when you were about to be killed. It has been worthwhile because not only now have I saved Tendai Biti's life, but I also saved everyone else who are connected or who is connected to Tendai Biti, or upon whose life whose lives depend on Tendai Biti's case. So can you imagine how I would feel when I've lost all that time? The people will remember back in those days, the times when I would call these generals, I would call Chiwenga, the times when Hopo Chingono sabotaged all that while he was working for Chiwenga and advised Chiwenga to send soldiers after these victims. But quickly, what I'm saying here is, if you remember those days, what I mean by that is Tendai Biti sabotaged that case. So I spent 7 days, listen to me, Zimbabweans, the following year, when I noticed that these people were not awoken to this, I talked to a lot of people. Even some of these people that you folks call human rights activists or this journalist and all that, they were not interested in completing this story or this documentary that was going to free every citizen of Zimbabwe, that was going to free even Zambians, because it was going to stop Edgar Lungu from ever infecting Zambian politics and governance. You need to know this, by the way, Zimbabweans. Recently, Tendai Biti, soon after my elections, he flew to Zambia. He wanted to meet HH. And I personally advised the Zambian government. I said, look, this man, you need to know what he's done. And I showed them the files. Tendai Biti was told, bye-bye. Why? Because he had in his hands power to liberate 2 countries, to liberate not just Zimbabwe, but even Zambia itself. That case of Tendai Biti was going to fix the entire SADC problem, because it was going to stop Emerson Mnangagwa, who had done a coup on two jurisdictions. Emerson Mnangagwa had shot people on 1 August 2018, while at the same time he had deported Tendai Biti in Lusaka in the same week. So what does that mean? That means the crime, a coup crime, which is an international crime, a war crime, had happened in Harare. It had also happened in Lusaka. And Edgar Lungu had actually lost government funding. And if I remember well, he even had sanctions on his administration by the US government because of that Tendai Biti case. The Tendai Biti case was powerful. It was everything. And it is still everything if he wakes up. But he won't wake up because he's now in bed with Mnangagwa. Any statement that you hear Tendai Biti say, oh, we want to stop 2020, 2030 and all that, any of that is just window dressing. It's just as good as the statements that Hopo Chingono, Fadzayi Mahere, and all these other people make. It's window dressing type of statements to keep you folks preoccupied with utter nothingness. So Tendai Biti had that case. In September, on the 5th of September, I landed in September 2022. I landed in Lusaka. I'm going to show you the video here. And at that time, Vana Ostalos, they never listened. They never listened to this. And yet this was the thing that was going to trigger. If I had told Mondlane about all his aides or Mondlane's aides about this case, these guys, Mondlane and his aides, would have started this Tendai Biti case in Zambia for the Mozambicans. They wouldn't have taken 1 hour. I know, Vana Mondlane, I've told not out an hour. They are prompt. But Tendai Biti Never did. And I was hoping also Gift of Stalos was going to raise his. Maybe I don't know what was going on or the politics. Maybe I just don't know. But I'm shocked that myself, a journalist who is not even, listen to me, I'm just a publisher who just loves my country. I'm not even in politics at all. I'm not even in any hierarchy. I'm the one who's bothered about this. And the only person in the act in the NGOs or community politics and NGO community who understood this was a young lady called Comfort Dondo from Norway. She said to me, Simba, okay, let's fly to Zambia. I've heard you. I don't understand everything, but let's go and meet Tendai Biti. So we landed there. We spent 7 days. In actual fact, it was even over 8 days. It was nearly 2 weeks now. We're getting into the second week in Lusaka. Tendai Biti used to switch off his phone. He was switching off his phone. Aidzima phone yake. Ukamfonera so he would lie to me that he was going to call me later on. He would then claim, oh, phone me in the evening. Oh, but he would switch off his phone. And I told him, look, Tendai, you need to understand, this is what is going to even sharpen your own career. This is the case of cases that will turn you into a human rights hero of all time. It will make you a law and order type of a leader. What did he do? Tendai Biti chose lawlessness. He chose to help Mnangagwa. He never came. Zimbabweans, I blew 7,000 US dollars. Mainzo Maria and Tore, 7,000 US dollars. Money that I could have sent to kids who need school fees. Money that could have been used in hospitals to treat people. Money, but still money that would have started the biggest rule of law case of all time that would have fixed Zimbabwe. Not just Zimbabwe, it would have fixed Zambia, it would have fixed the entire SADC region. Tendai Biti, up to this day, all those phone calls, all those text messages, up to this day, and you see how close I've been with Tendai Biti. And yet, it's more than 2 years to date since that day. He hasn't even cared even to send me a text message and say to me, Simba, I saw your missed calls. Or even to lie to me and say, well, Simba, I was ill or I had a headache. Nothing. At one time, Zambians ended up asking me, we have heard you. We see what you want to do. We see you want to complete your documentary and help the people of Zimbabwe through, obviously, Tendai Biti. But then where is he? How can you claim that you're close to Tendai Biti and he's not even picking up your calls? I looked stupid. Tendai Biti made me look stupid among Zambians. I was shocked the following year, in April. April, once again, when Mashwede, a businessman, telephoned Ziambi and some judges to tell them that Tendai Biti must be blocked from contesting in 2023 elections. I called Tendai Biti. I even gave Tendai Biti a video because I had the video of the phone calls because you know me, Zimbabweans. I investigate. So I had videos, I had so much to show evidence here that Tendai Biti's candidacy is being sabotaged, not by Chamisa, but by Mashwede, who Tendai Biti had a personal tiff with. Because Mashwede is connected to Mnangagwa, he was using his powers. I was never responded to. He never picked up my phones. I phoned his brother Stanford Biti. You can even call him if you are here. Moshe Zay Stanford. He can come here and he can testify to this. And I said, Stanford, your brother is about to be sabotaged. He needs to do something. He needs to call me so that we can work out here a story, a path that I can expose this in advance. He never called. That was in April. I was shocked. A few months later, to see an audio or a video of Tendai Biti accusing Rusty Markham, Alan Markham, of being a racist, of being someone who wants to take away his parliamentary seat, and then soon after that, accusing Nelson Chamisa and saying that Nelson Chamisa is finished. Apera ega. So I was shocked. Where is this coming from? Because you're getting all this maximum support. We have been alerting you on what is happening. And yet here you are. You are in the opposite. What type of a person, what type of a human being you are you? So quickly, there are people here, as I'm going to show you this video, folks. This is me in Zambia, 2020, 2022. I have a lot to offload here. And then also I shall talk about way forward, because way forward is what I do. I also investigate, in as much as I investigate problems, I also investigate solutions. So I found out a solution that Zimbabweans can still experience their Mozambique, their Zambia, their Botswana moment. And are you ready to hear that? I'll be giving you later in the week, because this is what I investigate on. That's what my passion is. That's what I was born to do. And so I've got a lot to share, folks. But I've never seen anyone who joins hands in hand, who joins hands with lawless people, who joins a lawyer who joins hands with Mnangagwa, the way Tendai Biti has. You need to know that man is not clean. Anakuchena Tendai Biti. Anakuchena. Because no one is safe. You know, no one gets support the way Tendai Biti has gotten support and then betrays the people the way he has done. And you need to know these people, Zimbabweans. You also need to know Mahere is even worse, Fadzayi Mahere. Where have you seen an opposition member who defeats Mnangagwa's advisor in a defamation case? Some of you people will be texting us because you have seen the spats between Mahere and Wikno Chivayo. Oh, all that kids play, chit chat between Fadzayi Mahere and Wikno Chivayo. And then you think that, oh, because she's being attacked by Wikno and by ZANU-PF, then she is an opposition member. That young lady is ZANU. She is dirty. She is filthy. And let me tell you everything that is in that case that Patina Gapa said. Every one of those things is true. When you see an opposition member defeating Mnangagwa's elite, Petina Gapa is not just an advisor, she's an elite advisor of Mnangagwa in a court case, and is granted a win by the corrupt courts of Zimbabwe. And some of you opposition people then claim, oh, Mahere, she's exposing ZANU-PF. She's like this. Can't you just study? Can't you just sit there? Mongo study mega. Musikuzoona kuti vanhu vanomsystema. Kuti muri kutambwa. This is military intelligence. They want to replace Chamisa. You were told by senior, these are people who are impeccable. Sources were impeccable like Rugare Gumbo. That there is no one else in the whole opposition who has given ZANU-PF sleepless nights. The only person who has done that, who has been uncompromising, who has not touched dirt, is Chamisa. vamwe vese ava isystem reseri Mahere zvichitanga naMahere zvichidzika kunana Biti zvichidzika all the way down. That is ZANU PF, corrupt ZANU PF, fronted so that they manage your emotions, your angers. So they'll put someone that they will be criticizing every day, and they'll be fighting on Twitter. They're allowing their own child, they're sending their own child, their child who they sent to University of Zimbabwe, gave preferential treatment. They're putting their child forward so that their child can eventually lead you. So basically, that's what it is. It's anger management. Fadzayi Mahere is ZANU PF's anger management agent to the masses, for the masses. Don't repeat the same mistake that Morgan Changirai made. I've said it. I've even said it in song. Don't transfer the sovereignty back to ZANU. Don't. Don't transfer it back to Mnangagwa. Fadzayi Mahere is Mnangagwa's anger management agent. And that court case with Petina Gapa is your perfect example. I'm telling you because I myself was a participant in that court case. I wasn't just a reporter on that very same court case. Saka you even see my name Katimomo. Saka ndrukudza izvinhu zvandinoziva. I'm not telling you a rumor. I'm telling you what is fact. Right. So comes to Tendai Biti. So number one, ZANU PF agent is Fadzayi Mahere. Number two is Tendai Biti. I'll come back to Fadzayi Mahere. I will have a full briefing later on in the week. I think Tuesday or Wednesday, like Gibson Dube saying, shipping wolf skins. Yeah. So Wednesday, I think Wednesday I would do Fadzayi Mahere. Between now and Tuesday, I'm going to be doing Tendai Biti, and I'll be showing you how much he's a traitor. A traitor. He's a ZANU PF agent. I just don't understand how someone, how many remember the day when Tendai Biti's mother was surrounded by soldiers and I was on camera for several days crying. I couldn't, I lost, listen to me. When you look at my white beard right now, it's because, it is because I suffered. I suffered. Someone called Mbari has just written on YouTube. Be very careful, Mbari. Be very careful. Vese ivavava. Vese ivavava. Vakumana vachamisa vese ivavava. They failed to help you. They've been big on talking, but not doing anything. They've not given you a Mozambique. You could have been having a Mozambique breakthrough. You could have been having a Botswana, a Zambia breakthrough. They knew about that case, that Tendai Biti case, and they did absolutely nothing. They're traitors, all of them. I'm going to be giving you one by one. As I said before, I lost 7,000 US dollars in Zambia in September. And none of those people, Mbari, ever cared to call. None of them ever cared to help. This is to help themselves. They're claiming that they were supporting Chamisa, Chamisa and all that. And yet here is a way of helping Chamisa. Here's a way of helping the people. So as I'm going to be playing this video tonight of me and Tendai Biti, of me and Tendai Biti, is I'm going to be playing this video of me and Tendai Biti over the years, and you see what really happened. I am also going to be showing you folks the alternative, what can be done to trigger the moment. Right. That one, Anyora Kutanzi, let's promote the young Ostalos. I'm not convinced. I'm being frank with you, Mbari. I'm not convinced by Ostalos. I'm not impressed. Eh. Itaima support any egg. I support ideas. I don't support people. That's why my journalism is different also. I don't support people. I support ideas to fix the country. And Iwawa Vana Ostalos, they failed to do this. They failed to even blow this, because what was supposed to be done there was supposed to be done immediately. Right now, Vano Varkufa iko zvino, and you're busy talking about supporting an individual. Naombari. Pana baba zim aitoda kutaura pana pama solutions ekuti we have got a generation rema over 50 vakuda kudzokera kuZimbabwe. Ndova ndikumbira kuti Simba come and help to explain what is going to happen, how we can go back home and retire. And those are the people that I'm addressing right now. And they have been let down, naivo by Ivo and Ostalos. They've been let down by the Ostaloses. But quickly, I'm talking about Mahere, then I'm talking about Biti. But tonight, it's about Biti. On Wednesday, I'll be bringing you about Mahere, and I'll be showing you V11 Zimbabweans. Don't sell your souls. Don't sell the power that the Creator has given you. Don't sell your country. Don't give your vote to ZANU PF, particularly Munangagwa agents like Mahere and Tendai Biti. No matter how eloquent, no matter how many court cases they appear to have won against Munangagwa's advisor. Eh? Yo, unofunga kuti inini chachai inini Simba Chikanza. Do you think myself I can win a case against Bettina Gaba? Do you think I can win a case against Bettina Gaba in a Zimbabwe court? Do you think Chamisa can win a case against Bettina Gaba in a Zimbabwe court? And you folks, ma'am, you'll be saying, Mahere this, Mahere this. Eh? You trust someone who wins a court case, a Luke Malaba court case against Mnangagwa's advisor, and you trust that person. And you know how your courts are. How many times your courts have upset you, have upset your vote. The very same courts. And then you tell me a person who wins a defamation case, a cheap defamation, even if that defamation case had evidence, even if Petina had truly defamed Mahere, you're telling me that that case, that it would have made you trust Mahere. How can you be so misled in your mind? How can you fail to be discerning like that? Basics. Basics. Hmm? Basics. Which opposition leader, genuine opposition leader, has ever won a defamation case? At any time. Show me one. Anyone who has been an MP in the opposition, show me one who has ever won a defamation case. Even those in ZANU. Have you ever seen anyone who is a politician who has won a defamation case? They will make noise. They'll put their numbers and then they'll run away. They'll keep quiet. And then you folks end up trusting a ZANU PF child, a girl who was sent to University of Zimbabwe, clearly got access to University of Zimbabwe. When she did not have the 15 points, it was 15 points for a law degree, and she only had 13. Qualifiable points. Someone who clearly had an essay done by Bettina Gaba. And you just trust that person simply because they defeated Emerson Mnangagwa's advisor, simply because you don't like Mnangagwa. So do you know what I would do if I was ED? I would just send another 3, right? Who I ensure that they sue Petina Gapa, and this time maybe they'll sue Nick Mangwana in court, and then they will win their defamation case against Nick Mangwana, against Petina, and then guess what? And these people, they'll be trusted soon after that by Chamisa's people. Hmm? And then after that, what happens? It will live happily ever after because the opposition will now be running by my kids, by people who I can just phone. I'll just phone Mahere. I'll just phone Mahere's father and tell Mahere's father and say, tell your daughter to stop doing this. No, no, no. Next time when she criticizes me, let her criticize me about Wicknell. Let her criticize me about the fuel deals. But no, don't let her criticize me about my presidency, about me being an illegal man. She shouldn't cross certain lines. So I think I should send more people to be sued by people like Mahere. Next time maybe I'll send Tendai Biti to sue Petina, and I'll send Tendai, or send someone like that. Huh? Someone is asking that why did you mention that you don't trust Ostalos? It's simple. It's very simple because people like Ostalos did not stand up against Mahere to expose Mahere. It's a small litmus test. It's not complicated. Small litmus test. It's very simple. They were not forthright. It just shows you clearly. Number one, they didn't do that, and also they did not stand up to expose Tendai Biti 2 years ago. Where were they? Where were they when Tendai Biti was betraying you? Mm. Why should it be about pictures? You folks, you want to be lauded when you're meeting of the Obamas and the like, and be told, oh, you're fighting for us, but you're doing nothing to bring a Mozambique moment, a Mozambique breakthrough for the people of Zimbabwe. Stay away from people like that. Or if they are true, they should change their ways. Don't sell the sovereignty to Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa is on his way out. He's ready to be removed. If you agree with me, he can be removed. And he will be removed. No, as a matter of fact, Mnangagwa doesn't need to be removed. He just needs to be escorted out of State House. That's all. Right. Courage Killer Joe says, Simba, can you retract your statement about Mashwede? I'm sorry, but I have the evidence about Mashwede. I will not retract. Mashwede is the one who got Tendai Biti removed from his parliamentary. I've got the evidence. I fact check this, and I've done every level of investigation and research on it. He was behind it, and it's a fact. I mean, there are even court documents. So, courage. I don't know what it is. I don't hate Mashwede, but it's just the truth that they had their tiff with Tendai Biti. Okay, so quickly, folks, I'm going to quickly just be showing this video. Tendai Biti is a traitor of traitors. Look at me. I'm in Zambia. And this is Tendai Biti. This is what he's doing to me. I'm losing 7,000 US dollars. And the only person with me is a young lady who is in the human rights group, a human rights fighter, human rights director by the name Comfort Dondo. And we're stuck. Where is he? Where was he? He bunked his own court case. This man, bunked his own court case. Oh, but I'm not banka court case. Yeah. Court case, Visa Mnangagwa. This man had a court case in Zambia. Visa Mnangagwa. And he debunked it. This man. And his lawyer told me, Simba, I've heard you. You've made it very clear. It's there. This is very easy. This is easy peasy. I can deal with this so easily. And these were his words. He said these words in my ears with comfort Dondo listening. He said to me, Simba, I actually have so much more to reveal that could fit a movie script that happened that day. Things that happened that day were so horrific when Tendai Biti was deported that could fit a movie script. This is what his lawyer told me. His solicitor in Zambia, in Lusaka. And you know what? That was my first trip to Africa. And there I am in Lusaka, looking absolutely stupid, foolish, because the person that I'm helping to tell his story has not cared a thing to turn up for his own case. For his own case. He was nowhere to be seen, Murumosh. Case yake iyo yakatanga, his case started on the 8th of August 2018. 2 years later, 4 years later, 2022, we were there trying to help him so that that court case can now be used to stop Mnangagwa from contesting in 2023 elections, but at the same time can now be used to escort Emerson Mnangagwa out of State House to Zwitawani forever. Where was he? Nowhere to be seen. And folks, I'm telling you, I looked stupid. And so you're going to see me shortly. This is me here in the picture, as you can see here, with an editor of a newspaper called The Times, a former editor called The Times. I'm on the plane now, flying out of Lusaka, and I am with this man, and I feel disgusted. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Bakumanama, these guys, when we will be fighting for them while we are in the UK, while we're in America, on the ground, they will be doing it for the pictures, for the videos, and for donor money. That's Tendai Biti. He was doing it all that for show while he is selling all this, giving it back, handing it back to Emerson Mnangagwa. Mm. I'm going to be going into the video shortly, but I'm being tempted to read a comment here. Heather says, "You're right, BT is one of the biggest farms in Zimbabwe, and the government has not confiscated the farm. Why? Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know he's got a farm." Yeah. So I'll quickly go into this now. Ntlantla Dube is saying to me, Simba Ostalos has done very well, Simba. Why not blame Nelson Chamisa? Listen to me. When Morgan Changirai was alive, we used to blame Chamisa. We would blame both Changirai and Chamisa. That is also because they say because the real person and the power is the young ones. They are the young ones. Iva vafana iva vanam Ostalos nana mako vese timirori. They have failed because if they had played their part, they would have pushed Tendai Biti for this. They didn't care a thing. Msanye Peru, don't be lied to by politicians who are just good at standing on Pama pictures and standing with Obama, but they don't do anything. He never cared. I called Ostalos how many times in 2021 while they were there at the inauguration in Lusaka, trying to help. I'm like, look, folks, let's finish this struggle. Stop posing for pictures. Well, great, you can get pictures. There's no problem about that, right? But play your part. When you are a youth, you do your part. You help your bosses to what? To make the right decisions. You stand up. Because what the people of Zimbabwe feed from are not your pictures with HH in Lusaka. What the people of Zimbabwe feed from is the revolution that you trigger. What was the whole point of flying up and down to Lusaka? Just to stand and pose for pictures at an inauguration, and you come back to Zimbabwe with just nothing other than that. So nobody said, "Actually, what does that help?" Whenever Ndavaningi Stole, Joshua Nkomo would fly out of the country. They would bring back freedom. They would bring back power to the people of Zimbabwe. And their youths, they are the people that were under them. They were action trigger boys. They used to cause trouble all over until Ian Smith ended up bowing down. And I'm not talking about doing, excuse me, any armed struggle. No, 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 no. Of course, the dynamics have changed. I'm talking about like what the Mozambicans are doing. Do something. What I was asking for wasn't even what the Mozambicans are doing. What I was simply saying, help me to finish my story, which I started 4 years ago when I saved your life, Tendai Biti. And Ostalos, help Tendai Biti and your other bosses to make the right decision so that this story is told as it is told, it will free the people of Zimbabwe. That is the point. Ntla is saying, Simba, it is easy for you because you're outside the country. What about those in Zimbabwe? Not easy, my brother. Let's not lie. What are you saying? Where was I here? Do you think I was in the UK? I was there per ground, digger. Where do you think I was? Where do you think I was here? What about those two lads who stood per Rotten Row Magistrates Court? What about the university students who stood and they demonstrated in Harare and they got arrested and they were put in maximum prison? Where were you in Tlantla? Stop talking nonsense. The Mozambicans are dying every day, 50, 100 today, but they're not stopping. Stop talking nonsense. You don't want people here who come here, Vanochka Kofa, who are afraid of this and that. When the other people were doing it in Harare, in Mashingo, in Bulawayo, in Binga, other people are doing it. Other people are standing up. But what I'm talking about here, I was in Zambia, right? In and out of Zambia, not for a demonstration. I wasn't to cover a demonstration. I was simply to cover my story, which I started when I saved Tendai Biti's life 4 years before. So that's what I was doing. So you need to know this. You need to know these people. Don't be fooled by the Maheres. Don't be fooled. Nana Biti. So I'm going to show you this video here. None of this. By the way, this Fadzayi Mahere, she studied at the ICC. And just as like Tendai Biti's lawyers, right? They were interns at the ICC, right? But have you ever seen Mahere talking about this Zambia thing? Never. And yet she knows about it. I advised her myself. Fadzai, you went to ICC. Da, 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 da. You were an intern at ICC. Help to complete this struggle. Never did anything. And then now she's busy claiming, oh, she's exposing this, she's exposing Wicknell, she's exposing Munangagwa. And you folks can't see. And that this person can never be an opposition. Fadzai Mahere can never be an opposition person ever at any time. Whereas after winning a case against Mnangagwa's elite advisor. But quickly, I'm telling you folks, telling you what I've done. What I was doing here for Tendai Biti is also what I did for the Zambian people on the 13th of August. It's the same thing. I covered their story right to the end until I pushed Edgar Lungu. I helped to push him out of power by exposing him at the maximum on live camera on the 13th of August 2021. It's the same thing that I've done. It's the same thing that I've done elsewhere. It's the same thing that you see in the Gold Mafia documentary. It's the same thing that you see in all these other investigation. I got right to the maximum in telling the true, accurate story, so that people can have their story told. And rule of law is effected at the maximum. Why should you have a quarter of rule of law? Why not 100% rule of law? So I'm going to play this video quickly, and then we watch it quickly. deputy in opposition in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And when the elections were held, the last elections in 2018 were held, he was hunted down and he had to flee to Zambia. So I was called, I was 4 a.m. I'm being called, right? And I had to organize lawyers, I had to run around.
It was clearly a military coup. It was a horrific military raid. They were clearly after his life.
Thank you. And thank you for everything, my friend, you did in August 2018, which helped the settlement.
They talk about his mother, even his own mother was besieged by soldiers because they wanted to change the election results. They eventually managed to change the election results, right? So Mnangagwa became president through rigging,
Yes.
and using literally a coup, yeah?
Well, it's what,
Through a coup.
what he started it.
Yeah. So now, this time, I managed to go back to Zambia. We don't allow fake news. You know, these politicians, they create fake news.
Of course, yeah.
So my role as a publisher is to ensure that I play my part and publish the truth. The truth is, this man is not president of Zimbabwe at all. He's not. Here is the evidence. But most importantly, you see, an apology similar to the one that was done in the 1940s over the Holocaust, and the one that facilitated, that helped to spring up out the nation of Israel into existence. So it's an apology to say, look, we apologize that our country allowed this to happen. So this being done before the UN, to say, look, this was wrong.
I don't give up. One
That's
thing
why I
about
went
me,
there. So I've spent
I have to stay strong.
more than
Get
10,
down to the
11
ground.
days.
Touchdown in Lusaka. And upon landing here, I find out, first of all, the infrastructure is building. And the road networks are starting to shape up. Look at this. Look at this. We get into the city. I managed to get to Edgar Lungu's property, his house right at the gate.
So finally we arrive at the home. We are told by neighbors here that this is the home of the former president Edgar Lungu. As you can see here, we've been directed by a few kids who made us that when we get to a property, this is where Lungu stays. Up right above here, the Jura wall, which is more than 2 meters high, is a my brother. You know what? Just I can't come all this far.
You didn't come to see him, did you?
I did.
What time did you
Do you want me to show you my ticket? No, let me show you my ticket.
You came a long time ago.
No.
Madam, good evening.
Let me show you my ticket. Let me show you my ticket.
No, you can't see him. It's not possible. You have time. No, not even time. You have to make an appointment through the office.
Okay, which office?
This, you know the old office for former president?
Office
The
of the
one
former
used
president.
by- yeah, the one.
We don't live here, we live in England.
All of you. Okay. You know where Bishop Road is?
Bishop Road.
You are. Okay. You've been to Zambia before?
My first time.
Your first time? Yourself first time? Are you Zambian new people?
No.
You are from
Half Zambian, half Zimbabwean.
All we want is for a clear statement of truth, an apology that breaks the fake news propagated by both Edgar Lungu and Emerson Mnangagwa. And this is an apology over the coup that they did on Nelson Chamisa through the deportation of Tendai Biti in 2018. You have to make an appointment, the gentleman tells us there, and we leave Edgar Lungu's property with no success. We continue pushing to obtain the statement which should bring the slab, or here we say press the button, the single button that should solve the problems for Zimbabwe once and for all. By this time, lawyers far and wide have made it very clear that this apology will be the reset button necessary to fix the country. So managed to meet a very influential man who grew up with Emerson Mnangagwa and is very close to the new president Hichilema. His name is Ambassador Vernon Mwanga. He emphasized
a firm commitment to democracy and to the holding of free and fair elections. Both the African Union and SADC have got very specific provisions in their protocol demanding that all member states should hold free, fair and credible elections which should represent, whose outcome should represent the will of the people, not the will of the leaders, but the will of the people, because the people are at the center of democracy. So it has to be understood that as we move forward, as countries or as a continent, that we must respect the wishes of the people by not interfering with elections and by not interfering with people who are actually going to take part in voting for leaders of their choice. This is extremely important, and unless member states of the AU and SADC adhere to these provisions, the OAU, the AU, and SADC are committed to, and to which we are all committed to as member states, because we approved those provisions. And it's important that we should not just approve them, we should honor them and make sure that the will of the people is respected.
What about in this case also? Evidence coming up lately is that the ruling ZANU-PF has banned a documentary that clearly shows that there was a coup in 2018 when also President Lungu participated in that operation by deporting Tendai Biti to strengthen it. Yes. So with such evidence here, will SADC, will the African Union, will the UN take in someone who has such a background? I mean, accommodate someone to meetings? I mean, from your background.
Well, under normal circumstances, it would not be fair to do that, because the commitments which were made by our country were for the holding of free, fair, and credible elections. And that the campaign, because elections are not a single event, they're a process. The process starts with voter registration, which should not be interfered with. Allow people to register as voters, and then ensure that they verify their particulars, their details in the registers, voters registers which come out. And thereafter, of course, the campaign starts, and the campaign must be free. People must be free to campaign and not be interfered with, because one of the biggest mistakes that has been made by a number of countries, not just in Africa, but in other third world countries. It is important that the leaders understand what they committed themselves to.
Concerning the events of the 15th of October 2019. On the 15th of October 2015, the Speaker
is the deputy in opposition in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And when the elections were held, the last elections in 2018 were held, he was hunted down and he had to flee to Zambia. So I was called, right? I was 4 a.m. I'm being called, right? And I had to organize lawyers, I had to run around.
It was clearly a
They started
military
hunting
coup.
him.
It was a horrific military raid. They were clearly after his life.
Thank you. And thank you for everything, my friend, you did in August 2018, which helped the settlement.
They're talking about his mother, even his own mother was besieged by soldiers because they wanted to change the election results. They eventually managed to change the election results, right? So Mnangagwa became president through rigging,
Rigging, yes.
and using literally a coup, yeah.
Well, it's what
Through a coup.
what he started it.
Yeah. So now, this time, I managed to go back to Zambia. We don't allow fake news. You know, these politicians, they create fake news.
Of course, yeah.
So my role as a publisher is to ensure that I play my part and publish the truth. The truth is, this man is not president of Zimbabwe at all. He's not. Here is the evidence. But most importantly, you see an apology similar to the one that was done in the 1940s over the Holocaust.
But this is what I was
The one that facilitated, that helped to spring up
I was to cover.
the nation of Israel into existence. So it's an apology to say, look, we apologize that our country allowed this to happen. So this being done before the UN, to say, look, this was wrong.
I don't give up. One
That's
thing
why I
about
went
me,
there. So I've spent
I have to stay strong.
more than
Get
10,
down to the
11
ground.
days.
Touchdown in Lusaka. And upon landing here, I find out, first of all, the infrastructure is building. And the road networks are starting to shape up. Look at this. Look at this. We get into the city. I managed to get to Edgar Lungu's. Right, here we are, viewers, witnesses. So this is the clip here to show you what I'm talking about tonight, about how Tendai Biti betrayed the people of Zimbabwe. Tendai Biti aided and abetted crimes against humanity. I'm hoping that people can hear me. Oh, yeah, the light bulb there. I'll get the light bulb straight in the eye or something, right? My apologies. Right, okay, so quickly. Yeah, so what Tendai Biti did was to aid and abet crimes against humanity by not doing what he's supposed to do. And his case, suing Edgar Lungu and Emerson Mnangagwa, was going to stop both Mnangagwa and Edgar Lungu from ever contesting in elections, but it was also going to get them stopped from ever committing those human rights abuses ever again. And so that paper, even though as a mere piece of paper, was and would be a document that the people of this country, beginning with the 25 victims that were shot, the families that victims that were shot dead when Tendai Biti was deported from Zambia, and the other 50 women were raped and the like. So they would have in their hands not just a document, that would be a document that would and could be used by Zimbabweans to totally and completely stop Emerson Mnangagwa. So, like they say in Shona, Mnangagwa aivato gugwa ipapo. Mnangagwa aivato gugwa. He would be stopped by virtue of that document, even from contesting from in 2023 elections. Now, it was an important thing. If this story work that I was doing, this investigation I was doing it for the Mozambicans, do you think that they would have boycotted their own case the way Tendai Biti did? Let me get some thumbs here. Let me get some responses. Tell me. By the way, in the picture there is me, myself, on the flight, leaving Lusaka with an editor of a former editor of a newspaper called the Times of Swaziland. And my question to you is, if what I did for Tendai Biti, what I was doing there, if I had been doing it for Mondlane or Mondlane's deputy or an aide of Mondlane's, do you think that they would have boycotted, that they would have not cared to fly into Zambia and execute their own court case? Do you think so? And this is what it is. This was not just a court case. This was a court case to crush Mnangagwa. Enga ichinaso mupedza Mnangagwa kumusasanga atisimboti kumuzazvangwa kuti abva apera kutoperazvo kuti anenge akutoendeswa kwazvishavani soon after that. But he wasn't there. Well, but mainly the real motivation, by the way, wasn't politics. It was rule of law. What people wanted out of that court case was rule of law, restoration of rule of law. Tendai Biti stood away from that. He helped Mnangagwa violate the rule of law and human rights by absconding from his own case. So that's Tendai Biti for you. Dear Tendai wacho naye ndiye Biti wacho uyu. I hope Mazwana. This is what it is, Zimbabweans. To those who have been asking me. And one person that I shared this also with, another person that I shared this investigation project with was Fadzayi Mahere, that you folks claim is dealing with Mnangagwa, or that she's exposing Mnangagwa. Because the same International Criminal Court that Tendai Biti's lawyer worked at, did an intern and worked at, is the same where Fadzayi Mahere also did her own internship. And so these people, they come from the same school. They have the same capacities. And they could have did this massive thing, this extremely historic piece of work for the people of our country, for generations to come. But this young lady that some of you Zimbabweans claim is anti-Mnangagwa was actually pro-Mnangagwa and remains pro-Mnangagwa. She's even worse pro-Mnangagwa today than she was back then. Because back then, she wasn't winning cases, court cases, Luke Malaba court cases, or these corrupt court cases. Excuse me, cases inside the corrupt courts against Emerson Mnangagwa's elite ambassadors, elite advisors. She wasn't, yeah, but back then, she never cared. And to this day, she never cares. What she cares about, what Fadzayi Mahere cares about, is tweeting things that excite the people, things like Wicknell Chivayo's cars, things like the low-hanging corruption chit-chats that any person can make, that it's convenient corruption, anti-corruption talk. Those are the things that she talks about that make people think that she's actually anti-Emerson Mnangagwa. The things that get ZANU-PF to go into cat and mouse on social media with her and appear as if they are against her. And so after that, absolutely nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's just chit chat on social media. And so this young lady and Tendai Biti appear as if they are against ZANU-PF, when in actual fact, they're just agents of this lawlessness that is running Zimbabwe at present. Just fronting up for the regime in order to keep and manage people's angers and make people feel like something is happening. So quickly, tomorrow I will be doing another session. Tomorrow night I'll be talking about Tendai Biti once again. I will be inviting him to come and respond because people are asking now, Mr. Biti, if you are listening, There are people who are already asking me here. I have Nhlanhla Dube, who's just asked me, Simba, did you interview BT after the Zambian issue to understand his story? Please tell us. So, Tendai Biti, up to this day, Tendai Biti has never cared to even text me, even a mere text message, to just say, Simba, this. No, he has never cared to do that. Never cared. Other people have. Right. Someone is saying, Simba, I don't think you understand the dynamics with regards to the government of Zimbabwe. Please don't trivialize issues. Just be realistic. How come Job Sikala can call me? Job Sikala, I criticize him here and there. How come he calls me? How come everyone else calls? How come everyone else that I've assisted calls? Right? Even though they might not be agreeing with me, which I don't expect them to agree with me anyway. But my point is, how come everyone else, apart from Tendai Biti? Yeah, how come? But in this case, this is a man that I saved, whose life I saved. I saved Tendai Biti's life. You've heard it, you see it in the video there. He himself is saying it with his own mouth on video. You saved my life. And he never, 2 years later, is that normal? Eh? No matter how much you can sell your life to Mnangagwa, how can you do that? Can you compare Tendai Biti to Ndavaningi Stole? Ndavaningi Stole, when he came out of prison, after 10 years of coming out of prison, what did he say when he was asked in 1975, are you going to go into an accommodation with the Rhodesian government? What did he say? He said it right there in Rhodesia. No, we are not going to go into any accommodation with the Rhodesian government. And they said, oh, don't you regret that, you had to stay 10 years in prison? Haven't you changed? I said, no, I'm not changing anything. My position is the same. Even if it means I have to go back into prison, I don't care. If it means I have to die. Ndavaningi Stole was your type of Mondlane, your type of modern Mozambicans who do not care about death. They don't care even they get poisoned. If they die, they die. The Tendai Bitis join Satan and they love the sausages that they are given by Satan. Emerson Mnangagwa. So that is the difference there. Nhlanhla. Nhlanhla Dube. There's nothing, there's no excuse there. How can you be getting donor money for participating in opposition politics in Zimbabwe, claiming that you're representing the people, and yet you're not? You're actually representing the regime. Why don't you step down? Why don't you leave the politics? Huh? Why don't you leave all those things? That is the point. Why do you lie to people that you are anti-Mnangagwa, like the way Fadzayi Mahere does? Then lie to people. You make people keep hoping that changes is going to happen when it's not at all. You're just an agent of the brutal regime. So that's what it is. One man here who people, in actual fact, what that award that the Law Society put there, this is one man who Zimbabweans should scrub off in their notebooks. Their remembrance of this man is Tendai Biti. Until and unless he changes, until he leaves the regime. And he will have to repent. He will have to say, I'm sorry. Zimbabweans, I let you down. Because he did. Same thing with Mahere, lying to people that she's anti-Mnangagwa. You can see it here. Huh? I didn't study law. Hear me, Zimbabweans, just to show you here an example. I didn't study law, but look at how many things I've done that are law-based. Huh? The little that I studied of law was just if 1 or 2 modules that are not even law. It wasn't even, it's just basic stuff and things that I just read in the news. If I read this court case and I do this and I do that and I watch some movies, when I watch a movie, then I decide I want this movie to become reality in Zimbabwe. Now I'm being serious. That's me. The little that I know. And look at the things that I've done. Things where I've changed people's lives. I've changed lives for millions of people, 18 million citizens of Zambia. Look at them today. Are their lives the same? Look at what I've done. Look at the Gold Mafia documentary. Look at all these investigations that I've done. Look at this project, which is similar to what I did for the Zambian people, where you bring total and complete and lasting change for millions of people. And you close the book and you go on holiday and you know that you're done and dusted. You can now go into the next phase of your private life and you're no longer going to have to labor ever again. You're now in your Sabbath. That's me. But Fadzayi Mahere has gone to the ICC. She has never, 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 never raised a case against Mnangagwa of the Tendai Biti dimension. No. The only thing that she's done is to raise the defamation case against Mnangagwa's advisor. And she wins. By the way, that case, as I said before, it's empty. All those things that are in that case are true. You're hearing it from me because I was in there. I was in that case myself. I'm telling you what I know. All those things that are in that case are true. Maybe except one matter where I was not there. An incident that happened between Patina and her, which was private. But now, because of the enormity of the evidence, I can just about conclude that even that particular matter is true. Everything in there is true. You can check it. The documents are there. Very clear. She was sent to University of Zimbabwe by Zan. She went into University of Zimbabwe through ZANU-PF, not through merits. So Zimbabweans, wake up. Telling you right now, wake up. Now I'm going to be showing you, so getting into the week, one by one. On Wednesday, I shall talk about Fadzayi Mahere, but between today and Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about Tendai Biti. I'm going to be showing you more. Tomorrow, I'm going to go deeper. I will share, today I've given you the summary, and tomorrow I will be talking about further details of this case that Tendai Biti had, why and where else it has been applied, and how it has worked to actually bring revolution, total and complete revolution. How Mnangagwa could have been retired the same way that he has retired Godwin Matanga. Mnangagwa would have been retired nicely without a bullet fired. He would have been escorted out of State House to Zishawani without any form of force or anything. So I'll be sharing with how. Are you ready for that? Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our Facebook, subscribe all over, and I will be showing you more detail over this. I'll be sharing you what I know, not a rumor, because I have been there. I have been inside. Ndandirimo and ndichirimo mukati machona imomo. I'm still in there, such that I can still help to push this Zimbabweans, so that you folks can have what you desire, what you asked me to help you when you asked me to cover for you this news that is transformative, that is investigative, and that brings change to you people. Thank you very much for listening. Shall I quickly replay the Zambia video, and we will be connecting tomorrow? Join up on ZimEye, and be taking notes, by the way, if you're going to be asking me questions, so that I can be fruitful, or the engagement can be fruitful in that sense. Okay, so I'm going to be shutting now. Thank you very much, our viewers, readers, and listeners. And here we go. This was me in Zambia.
He's the deputy in opposition in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And when the elections were held, the last elections in 2018 were held, he was hunted down and he had to flee to Zambia. So I was called, right? I was 4 a.m. I'm being called, right? And I had to organize lawyers, I had to run around. It was clearly a military
hunting
coup.
him.
It was a horrific military. They were clearly after his life.
Thank you. And thank you for everything, my friend, you did in August 2018, which helped the settlement.
They're talking about his mother. Even his own mother was besieged by soldiers because they wanted to change the election results. They eventually managed to change the election results, right? So Mnangagwa became president. through rigging,
Rigging, yes.
and using literally a coup, yeah.
Well, it's what
Through a coup.
what we started it.
Yeah. So now, this time, I managed to go back to Zambia. We don't allow fake news. You know, these politicians, they create fake news.
Of course, yeah.
So my role as a publisher is to ensure that I play my part and publish the truth. The truth is, this man is not president of Zimbabwe at all. He's not. Here is the evidence. But most importantly, you see, an apology similar to the one that was done in the 1940s over the Holocaust, right? And the one that facilitated, that helped to spring up out the nation of Israel into existence. So it's an apology to say, look, we apologize that our country allowed this to happen.
So Zambia was going to
This
apologize.
being done before the UN, to say, look, this was wrong.
I don't give up. One
That's
thing
why I
about
went
me,
there. So I've spent
I have to stay strong.
more than
Get
10,
down to the
11
ground.
days.
Touchdown in Lusaka. And upon landing here, I find out, first of all, the infrastructure is building. And the road networks are starting to shape up. Look at this. Look at this. We get into the city. I managed to get to Edgar Lungu's property, his house right at the gate.
So finally we arrive at the home. We are told by neighbors here that this is the home of the former president Edgar Lungu. As you can see here, we've been directed by a few kids and told us that we will get to a property is where President Lungu stays. Up right above here, the Jura wall, which is more than 2 meters high, is a my brother. You know what? Just I can't come all this far.
You didn't come to see him, did you?
I did.
What can you do?
Do you want me to show you my ticket? No, let me show you my ticket.
You came a long time ago.
No.
Madam, good evening.
Let me show you my ticket. Let me show you my ticket.
No, you can't see him today. It's not possible. You have time. No, not even time. You have to make an appointment through the office.
Okay, which office?
This, you know, the old office for former president.
Office of the
one
former
used,
president.
yeah, the one.
We don't live here. We live in England. Both of us.
All of you. Okay. You know where Bishop Road is?
Bishop Road.
You are. Okay. You've been to Zambia before?
My first time.
Your first time? Yourself first time? Are you Zambian, you people?
No.
You are from
Half Zambian, half Zimbabwean.
half Zambian, half
Oh,
All we want is for a clear statement of truth, an apology that breaks the fake news propagated by both Edgar Lungu and Emerson Mnangagwa. And this is an apology over the coup that they did in Nelson Chamisa through the deportation of Tendai Biti in 2018. You have to make an appointment, the gentleman tells us there, and we leave Edgar Lungu's property with no success. We continue pushing to obtain the statement, which should bring the slab, or here we say press the button, the single button that should solve the problems for Zimbabwe once and for all. By this time, lawyers far and wide have made it very clear that this apology will be the reset button necessary to fix the country. Also managed to meet a very influential man who grew up with Emerson Mnangagwa and is very close to the new president Hichilema. His name is Ambassador Vernon Mwanga. He emphasized
A firm commitment to democracy and to the holding of free and fair elections. Both the African Union and SADC have got very specific provisions in their protocol demanding that all member states should hold free, fair and credible elections which should represent, whose outcome should represent the will of the people, not the will of the leaders, but the will of the people, because the people are at the center of democracy. So it has to be understood that as we move forward, as countries or as a continent, that we must respect the wishes of the people by not interfering with elections and by not interfering with people who are actually going to take part in voting for leaders of their choice. This is extremely important, and unless member states of the AU and SADC adhere to these provisions, the OAU, the AU, and SADC are committed to, and to which we are all committed to as member states, because we approved those provisions. And it's important that we should not just approve them, we should honor them and make sure that the will of the people is respected.
What about in this case also? Evidence coming up lately is that the ruling ZANU-PF has banned a documentary that clearly shows that there was a coup in 2018 when also President Lungu participated in that operation by deporting Tendai Biti to strengthen it. Yes. So with such evidence here, will SADC, will the African Union, will the UN take in someone who has such a background? I mean, accommodate someone to meetings? I mean, from your background.
Well, under normal circumstances, it would not be fair to do that, because the commitments which were made by our country were for the holding of free, fair, and credible elections. And that the campaigns, because elections are not a single event, they're a process. The process starts with voter registration, which should not be interfered with. Allow people to register as voters, and then ensure that they verify their particulars, their details in the registers, voters registers which come out. And thereafter, of course, the campaign starts, and the campaign must be free. People must be free to campaign and not be interfered with, because one of the biggest mistakes that has been made by a number of countries, not just in Africa, but in other third world countries. It is important that the leaders understand what they committed themselves to.
Concerning the events of the 15th of October 2019. On the 15th of October 2015, Mr. Speaker,
we have to have a heart that burns for God.
We said it right at the beginning of the new year, 2021. Igorere Masports is the year of Masports. Stuff that's just too good to be true, happening before your eyes.
These were some of our
Join Chief Diweni today as he finishes Masport.
Zimbabweans have this year witnessed the greatest fall of any head of state since Cecil John Rhodes, and the shutting down of tyranny that has held the nation back for decades. The victory now requires only a small push to finalize it, so that we as a people
only a small
can
push.
have
And
a
Tendai
proper
Biti sabotaged it.
In sport, we saw Emerson Mnangagwa's family being rejected by the world body FIFA. a terrible state of affairs. In religion, the cults that have for decades corrupted politicians and stretches across Africa under the banner of the likes of Walter Magaya and T.B. Joshua lost major high court cases following successful investigation journalism, which lasted for 5 years plus. This means that the courts will now hear the pile of cases of rape complainants who have been hushed up, who stretch from Lagos right down to Harare. In the region as a whole, for the first time, we witnessed Emerson Mnangagwa fall down like the great Lucifer himself, and his stranglehold over what used to be Northern Rhodesia, is now Zambia, was removed. No more will Mnangagwa control the nation of Zambia again. Even though the Human Rights Director, Dewa Mavinga, who announced the fall of Mnangagwa, died a suspicious death. That alone has not stopped Zimbabweans' quest to continue the push forward to get that democracy. For the first time in history, we witnessed a head of state who was not allowed free movement like other presidents at any time, begging to enter a Scottish whiskey party, but was banned by the Zimbabwean citizens in the United Kingdom. Getting to the point of literally telephoning TV whistleblower Shepherd Yauda at the Trades Hall building, asking to enter that whiskey drink, but was refused, resulting in the supporters vandalizing Yuda's car in retaliation. If in doubt, there is a video with regard to this and what happened to Yuda's car following this message. As a result of the thuggery in the climate change, the British police have opened a case now to investigate Emerson Mnangagwa and his supporters over crimes committed currently and also crimes committed since 1983 to the current date. For the first time in history, police forces across Europe have opened cases to investigate Emerson Mnangagwa and the early rain ritual during the period of 1983 to 2020. This is a big development for the Zimbabwean legal history system that we have since the days of Rhodesia. The Zimbabwean problem is not a problem about politics or ZANU-PF, but it is about ritual practices by Emerson Mnangagwa and his majority. The fall of Mnangagwa in this way is the greatest achievement for Zimbabweans since independence in 1980. We have, for the first time in 41 years, the United Nations rejecting Emerson Mnangagwa from flying for their General Assembly. This has never happened before since the days of Rhodesia. A head of state not allowed to attend that august building. Inside his own political party, we have witnessed the primary elections with atrocious figures amid the worst voting rigging you can imagine. And for the first time in 41 years, there are traditional leaders speaking out against Mnangagwa's government. Over 10 such traditional leaders, including his own uncle, coming out to speak out against Mnangagwa. These are changing times. So how many more institutions have rejected Mnangagwa in 2021? We have UN, FIFA, Zimbabwean chiefs, even his own family. And this is not to mention the financial services, the likes of IMF and World Bank, all who reject him totally and completely. More and more Zimbabweans now are lighting the fire, the flame for freedom for themselves.
A democratic country under the rule of law requires a totally independent, strong media in order to exist. As a result of your support for this news network's investigative reports, more and more is now possible. Imagine, if you will, the legal strides that could have been done at Glasgow COP26 with just $100 contribution. Please consider seriously supporting so that the nation continues to feed from an independent, strong, vibrant journalism that we all need. Thank you very much.
Feel me. Feel me for Zimbabwe. Feel me for Zimbabwe. Feel me for Zimbabwe.
We said it right at the beginning of the new year. He's the deputy in opposition in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And when the elections were held, the last elections in 2018 were held, he was hunted down and he had to flee to Zambia. So I was called I was 4 a.m. I'm being called, right? And I had to organize lawyers, I had to run around.
It was clearly a military coup. It was a horrific military. They were clearly after his life.
Thank you. And thank you for everything, my friend, you did in August 2018, which helped the settlement.
They talk about his mother, even his own mother was besieged by soldiers because they wanted to change the election results. They eventually managed to change the election results, right? So Mnangagwa became president through rigging,
Yes.
and using literally a coup, yeah?
Well, that's what,
through a coup.
That's what we started it.
Yeah. So now, this time, I managed to go back to Zambia. We don't allow fake news. You know, these politicians, they create fake news.
Of course, yeah.
So my role as a publisher is to ensure that I play my part and publish the truth. The truth is, this man is not president of Zimbabwe at all. He's not. Here is the evidence. But most importantly, you see an apology similar to the one that was done in the 1940s over the Holocaust. And the one that facilitated, that helped to spring up out the nation of Israel into existence. So it's an apology to say, look, we apologize that our country allowed this to happen. So this being done before the UN, to say, look, this was wrong.
I don't give up. One
That's
thing
why
about me,
so I've spent
I have to stay strong.
more than
Get
10,
down to the
11
ground.
days.
Touchdown in Lusaka. And upon landing here, I find out, first of all, the infrastructure is building. And the road networks are starting to shape up. Look at this. Look at this. We get into the city. I managed to get to Edgar Lungu's property, his house right at the gate. So finally we arrive at the home. We are told by neighbors here that this is the home of the former president Edgar Lungu. As you can see here, we've been directed by a few kids who told us that when we get to a property, this is where President Lungu stays. Up right above here, the Jura wall, which is more than 2 meters high, is a my brother. You know what? Just I can't come all this far.
You didn't come to see him, did you?
I did.
What time did you
Do you want me to show you my ticket?
No.
No, let me show you my ticket.
You came a long time ago.
No.
Madam, good evening.
Let me show you my ticket. Let me show you my ticket.
No. You can't see him straight. It's not possible. You have time. No, not even time. You have to make an appointment with the office.
Okay, which office?
This, you know the old office for former president?
Office of the former president.
Yeah, the one.
We don't live here. We live in England. Both of us.
All of you. Okay. You know where Bishop Road is?
Bishop Road.
You are... Okay. You've been to Zambia before?
My first time.
Your first time? Yourself first time. Are you Zambian, you people?
No.
You're from
Half Zambian, half Zimbabwe.
Zambian.
All we want is for a clear statement of truth, an apology that breaks the fake news propagated by both Edgar Lungu and Emerson Mnangagwa. And this is an apology over the coup that they did on Nelson Chamisa through the deportation of Tendai Biti in 2018. You have to make an appointment, the gentleman tells us there, and we leave Edgar Lungu's property with no success. We continue pushing to obtain the statement, which should bring the slab, or here we say press the button, the single button that should solve the problems for Zimbabwe once and for all. By this time, lawyers far and wide have made it very clear that this apology will be the reset button necessary to fix the country. So managed to meet a very influential man who grew up with Emerson Mnangagwa and is very close to the new president Hichilema. His name is Ambassador Vernon Mwanga. He emphasized
a firm commitment to democracy and to the holding of free and fair elections. Both the African Union and SADC have got very specific provisions in their protocol demanding that all member states should hold free, fair and credible elections which should represent, whose outcome should represent the will of the people, not the will of the leaders, but the will of the people, because the people are at the center of democracy. So it has to be understood that as we move forward, as countries or as a continent, that we must respect the wishes of the people by not interfering with elections and by not interfering with people who are actually going to take part in voting for leaders of their choice. This is extremely important, and unless member states of the AU and SADC adhere to these provisions, the OAU, the AU, and SADC are committed to, and to which we are all committed to as member states, because we approved those provisions. And it's important that we should not just approve them, we should honor them and make sure that the will of the people is respected.
What about in this case also? Evidence coming up lately is that the ruling ZANU-PF has banned a documentary that clearly shows that there was a coup in 2018 when also President Lungu participated in that operation by deporting Tendai Biti to strengthen it. Yes. So with such evidence here, will SADC, will the African Union, will the UN take in someone who has such a background? I mean, accommodate someone to meetings. I mean, from your background.
Well, under normal circumstances, it would not be fair to do that, because the commitments which were made by our country were for the holding of free, fair, and credible elections. And that the campaigns, because elections are not a single event, they're a process. The process starts with voter registration, which should not be interfered with. Allow people to register as voters, and then ensure that they verify that particulars, their details in the registers, voters registers which come out. And thereafter, of course, the campaign starts, and the campaign must be free. People must be free to campaign and not be interfered with, because one of the biggest mistakes that has been made by a number of countries, not just in Africa, but in other third world countries. It is important that the leaders understand what they committed themselves to.
Speaker, concerning the events of the 15th of October 2019. On the 15th of October 2015,
and quickly, the work that we did the previous year on the 13th of August 2021, the previous year before, flying over to Lusaka, Zambia. Bits and pieces of it were commented over by Human Rights Watch Director. I'm hoping you can hear the volume. Is the volume there? Oh dear, it looks like the volume is not being allowed. That's weird. But I think we can bring it off later on, some of the time. But quickly, this is the report that we've just made tonight. It details the treachery and the betrayal of the people of Zimbabwe by a one-time respected member of parliament for Harare East, Tendai Biti, who is also a barrister, and who we show with evidence that he does not deserve the award that he has been given for rule of law, because he's actually been anti-rule of law. And this is the detail that we have. If you came late, you'll be able to rewind. Come back tomorrow, and we will proceed. We'll continue with this line by line. We're going to be showing you more details about this case tomorrow. This is your news network, ZimEye. Do press the share button and also subscribe.